All right, what's up, everybody? It is Ted here with Bodies and Wicks. Thanks a lot for hanging in there with me. Uh, just trying to get things going, trying to see where things are out and about, and here I am. Look, I'm here. I actually got this thing going. Took me a minute, but technology is kind of a B word sometimes, and you have to restart and go over and do things and do all this. And anyways, it's been a long day. I was trying to do my taxes today and trying to start my own business and get my tax repair for ready for all that. And I brought over everything that I had for my my CFDs and my foreign exchange trades, and she turned around and looked at me and she said, "You need to go to somebody." So I was like, that's a great way to start off the day. Basically, somebody that was supposedly a tax expert telling me that I needed to go to somebody else. Anyways, I got an appointment set up next Tuesday with somebody that is actually experienced in this, and I was actually referred to this person, and evidently this person that I was referred to knows what they're doing. So that should be a great conversation, to say the least. I'm gonna tip my hat to you. If you guys haven't noticed, I've got a new hat. I usually don't wear hats, but I've got an Ethereum hat now, and I will be sporting it as much as I possibly can. And that sound was my coaster. My coaster was actually hanging on the bottom of my drink, and when I pulled up to get my drink, the coaster fell off, and all that good stuff. Anyways, what we're gonna get to. I didn't have a bad day. I had a great morning. I started off with, I set a buy limit for Ethereum, and it hit the limit, and it also went up and hit to take profit. And so I was ahead by quite a bit, and then I also scalped quite a bit on NASDAQ, and made quite a bit there. And then I thought I saw what was going to unfold with NASDAQ, and there's where I went completely wrong. So this is what I want to talk to you about, where I went completely wrong with NASDAQ. And maybe I probably shouldn't pull it up here, because here I take a lot away from what I actually see. I don't want people to see where I get my ideas from, and what basically what I do as far as knowing where the entries are, and knowing where the I exactly will put it. It's not Global Prime. It's not Awanda. It's the other one. That's this. Yeah, has 100. It is Awanda. Maybe this is the one. Maybe this is. Here, I'll be able to tell you in just 1 second. Here, we're gonna go here. The one. It is Awanda. Okay. So I'm gonna pull up NAS right now, and I'll show you exactly what happened. So, for those of you. Or first of all, I guess I should say I'm a person of smart money, right? What smart money means is that we do not go by the theory of retail trading. It means that goes down to a certain point, and that should be a support, so you could buy there, and then that goes up to a level that should be a resistance, and you could sell there. And then there is maybe you should look at these trend lines and see if maybe there's a buy point on this trend line that could help you move up even further. Or if it's a downtrend and it breaks this downtrend, then maybe you should look at more bullishness. All that is actually completely hogwash. I mean, as far as like a downtrend is concerned and it breaking a downtrend, yeah, it could go up, but it depends on if it actually breaks an intermediate high or not, right? So it's all about the levels, not about whether you're a trend line person or if you're looking at something from a perspective of recent support and resistance. It's all going to depend on levels. And so that is where I come from. I come from levels. And that is what kind of shocked me today. As it really shocked me, but I guess I could have done a little bit more homework on NASDAQ. So what I want to do is I actually need to get back where I did start, where I said go along now, right? Because I thought it had fallen into a fair value gap, right? No idea what just happened here. Here we go. So my go along was right here. Okay, I can tell you exactly what happened, and right around 9 o'clock. So right around 9 o'clock this morning, right around here is where I thought this is where we're gonna have the buy, right? And reason I thought this was gonna have the buy is because I was looking at different areas of, you can see it was climbing up, it didn't exactly get past this point of liquidity, but we were getting closer, right? And here we did get above the higher point of liquidity, and this was just before midnight. So to me, I am thinking, okay, we are going to be a little bit more bullish going into tomorrow, considering yesterday that my trade that I had ultimately ended on, and I said probably be right at 13,000 would exactly be where the end of the trade would be yesterday. And I think I'm still on days. It got all the way down to, where did it get? 13,000. All the way down to 13,000. What did it do right after that? Just before the ending bell, boom, zipped right up. So my trade from yesterday, here, if we can pull this up, here is what I thought was going to happen. Right, I thought it was going to pull up into here, probably pull back down into here, and then I thought around here, around noon, is when we were going to hit this level and then go up. Well, what I didn't take into consideration was these levels in here, right? And I don't know if you guys can see these or not. And wait, I didn't even realize I'm not even on the charts yet. I am way far behind, guys. Here we go. Let me forgive. I'm just gonna say forgive me for all of that. We're going right now to yesterday's charts, right? So yesterday's charts, what happened was that I said as we were going up into the opening bell, there was a little area that I saw that was going to be above this high that would probably take out intermediate highs, right? And then after that, it would probably flow down and then get to this 13,000 level and then push back up. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Now, as time went on, here, back over this, right around that 9 o'clock level. Yep, it got all the way up into this area to where I thought it was going to be, right? And then stop moving around. I had sell, right? So I shorted the market right around here, right? Just because I thought this is where it was going to be. I thought it was going to get down to about 13,000, and which it eventually did, but it didn't get there until later on in the day. Now, what I didn't take into consideration was these levels here, right? These levels here, I'm on a 5-minute chart, and these levels were acting as basically support and resistance without people knowing they were acting as support and resistance. So this low to this high, and then it made down to this little lower low, right? Whenever you see something like that, this is actually going to be your support, right? Because this is going to be considered a the vocabulary written down somewhere, but this would be your breaker, basically. So this would be your breaker. So and this is one thing I did not take into consideration. I did not think about this. It wasn't even on my mind, but I adjusted for it, right? I adjusted for it, and I think it was right around here. Well, let me get a little bit closer into these. And anybody who was on my Patreon video yesterday probably heard me talk about this. Not going. Boom. Okay, so there we are. I just did that. Move all the way across. What did it do? Boom. So as soon as it sold off, right? As soon as it sold off, instead of actually getting down into where I thought was going to be, what I thought was going to happen is I thought it was going to get down into these 4-hour fair value gaps, and then probably have some kind of retracement, and then push down again. And that's probably what I thought, because usually, especially with NASDAQ, usually with SPX, kind of have two different sets of the time of the day, right? You have your morning rush, and then you're going to have your evening rush. And with Jerome Powell speaking, it was definitely right around that time, right around here when Jerome Powell was speaking. So the morning rush came up, right? And I had these levels set, and I had these. The reason I had these levels set had to do what was on the left of the charts, right? So on the left side of the charts, there were some areas, right? I saw showing all of it for some reason. Okay, there were some areas I saw to where it was probably going to get above, and here was one of them, right? Because this was the buy side liquidity. I think this is probably right at one of the areas where I entered. Or maybe not entered. I think I entered a lot higher, actually. Not mistaken. Let me go back and actually look at this trade to where I entered. I entered at 13129. All right. So let's see where that is. 131. 129. And actually that was right. Okay, that was right around here at this opening bell, right? 12129. I entered right around here, right, as a short, right? Still came back up, it came back down. I took profits, what I said, and then that's when I realized, hey, we're gonna have a breaker, protect your profits, and then it's probably gonna go up even higher, and then after that, make your move. So that's what I did. I waited for it to get higher, made my move, and then it went right back down to the same spot and then came right back up. Now when it came back up, what I noticed that it did, that it hit another breaker. What I mean by another breaker is that it had a low, a high, and then a lower low. Get these things to move out a little bit quicker, please. Come on, come on, come on. I know I have a MacBook Pro and it's just the slowest thing ever. So what I mean is that we have a low here, right? This green area right here. You probably, I don't even know if you can see it because it may be behind my head. But you have a green candle. A green candle here. Right, it moves up and then it immediately drops down, right? So that tells me that this green candle here is now your breaker. So now it's between a rock and a hard place, because now you have a breaker on one side and a breaker on the other, right? So at least it did drop to this breaker, took some profits, right? Waited till it came back up, and I wanted to see what was going to happen after that. Eventually it just kind of moved sideways throughout the rest of the day, and then eventually dropped and got down to my 13,000. So that being said, and got down to my 13,000, bought there, and then of course, as you can see, it pumped up and out of this world. Not out of this world, but at least it pumped up from 13,000 to 13,285. So that was a huge win for me. All right, so that being said, now we're going to take a look at the 4-hour aspect of what is going on for the following day and see what could have possibly happened. So we had 13,000 down here. Wait, a little bit more over because I don't think that was the right day. Come on, come on, come on. I'm not there yet. There we go. Why is this thing doing this? It's taking forever. Okay, here we go. This was the 13,000 I was talking about. Right around the 13,000 that I wanted to see it to get to. So was the trading day last week. Hello, still nowhere near where I am talking about. Come on, stop moving things. All right, so again, opening bell right here. That's what this was. Boom, push down. Took profit. Waited for it to come back up, and even when it came back up, I even put in my one now. Stop doing this. Oh, that was today. Come on. I haven't put my thoughts about, okay, you could see it get down to 13,000. Okay, so this is my initial thought, getting no lower than 1292.42. All right, now after things have changed, what I said is I took profits at around 13,094, which is right around here. So we're still at about $100 away. All right, next, and I put the next take profit level. Now here is when I realized that it is starting to move upwards, and we're probably going to need to protect our profits. I said one thing I missed in the calculations with the mitigation block. You know, here's like, you know, to stay below, too much higher, too less, 13,136. So if you want to take a second profit and take a tight stop loss, that's the way I'm playing this. I play this tight stop loss. All right, and I'm out. Mitigation block threw me off. I still made profits. I protected my entry. Still not as much as I wanted to. And now I'm waiting for power to speak to see what kind of setup that brings. And then, of course, ran above the intermediate highs, which is expected. But I didn't expect that until later, till after it hit the 13,000 below. But instead, it eventually still came down in 13,000. And that's where I bought, and that's where we're going into today. Right? So now going into today, March 24, going into this at midnight. That's where I like to look for the price action starting. All right, so looking at this starting at midnight, I noticed that, of course, we had made all of our profits coming all the way up. Of course, I had taken my profits up through here. But now after midnight is where I start to think about, okay, where is price going to go next? Is it going to continue going higher, or is it continue going lower? Thing was, I was thinking it was going to continue going higher because we had this high break this high. So I'm looking at all the different factors. I'm looking at all the different 5-minute charts and whatnot. And so my decision was, and I looked over to the left, right? And I saw this right here was the order block. Okay, this was the order block. So I thought the price could eventually fall at the bell, right? And as soon as it fell at the bell, boom, buy at the bell, and then it would take off. And it did. And it did. And I'm not gonna lie, I scalped that. And I scalped that like a mofo. And I put my entry just above the sorry, I put my entry just above yeah, can't think of the words right now. Where I had started the trade is where I had put my entry, right? So my stop loss had just now been moved above my entry, right? So it got up to here. I took some, and the reason I took profits right here, and I probably should have laid this out for everybody as I was doing this. Again, I had an extremely busy day. This was again probably around 10:30 in the morning or so. And I'm gonna, tomorrow I have one more day with my boss off, and I'm gonna try to make tomorrow most out of everything I can with my boss being out. So right there is where I take my profits. And the reason I took my profits there is because at the 5-minute marker, right, had these two candles kind of overlap. Not really overlap, but yeah, kind of overlap. So whenever you have these kind of two candles overlap, and look, you had one of them come up and touch, right? And as soon as I saw that it was actually going to break through it. And as soon as I saw it was going to break through it, that's when I knew to take profit, right? And then after that, I set my entry to stop loss, or my stop loss to my entry, I should say. And then after that, it continued to fall backwards. So as you can see, this is exactly where I said to enter. And the reason I said to enter here, for one reason, was because of the Fibonacci. So I had the Fibonacci set right here, and I had the high set right here, right? And I said the Fibonacci was coming down, right? Fibonacci was coming down right into that golden zone, that golden buy zone. So that's why I said this is where you should buy. Of course, it did get above the golden buy zone, and then of course that's why I scalped it. Then that's where I, placed my entry above my stop loss. So of course I did lose out on this trade, not immensely, but I did not ultimately grab a hold of this trade and take it to where I wanted it to. I thought I was going to go higher, and that was completely my fault. And reason here's the thing is that where is this low is it's actually at a rejection block. And what I mean by a rejection block, that we have a low here, it went through it again, and then the next time it tried to go through it, it stopped. So we do have a rejection block. So I do believe that NAS will be bullish tomorrow. Now, the question is where will NAS be bullish tomorrow? This is where we're gonna have to look at the hour, right? I want to look at as far as NAS being bullish, I'm gonna have to get rid of a lot of going through here. No, this is the 4 hour, and what I do is I want to see what happens with this price overnight. Right, so this price being $12883.4. I want to see if we actually come up and touch this and then fall backwards. And then if we do come up and touch this and fall backwards, I want to see what kind of price action that it's going to make going up into that, right? Because what I have a feeling is going to happen is that it's going to come up to this, right? And it's probably going to touch us probably around 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Fall back just a little bit, and then probably around 5 o'clock in the morning, right, is when we are going to start seeing basically the New York kind of trade start coming in, right? So around 5-6 o'clock in the morning is when I start seeing the New York trades starting to come in. They're going to try to start guessing whether they're going to be higher or lower. I have a feeling they're going to be higher, and the reason I have a feeling they're going to be higher, one reason, again, we do have 2 bearish candles, right? Again, we do have it going up, but then we have a big drop right here. But then again, we're still having this bearish, or sorry, bullish movement. So, again, I want to see what happens when it gets to here. I want to see it pull back, and then once it pulls back, I want to see what happens when it gets to here. Okay. So this could be one of those things to where it could come up to here, pull back, and then this could actually be the order block that we're looking for, right? This right here could be the order block that we're looking for to propel it forward. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that we see a lot of green candles coming up until here, right? And then once we see those candles come up until here and they start falling backwards, and then boom, they hit this and then they take off, right? That's what I'm looking for. And the reason I am primarily looking for that is because if we this Fibonacci and we place it right around these areas, right to where I want them to go, like this low part right here, and we spread this out, 70.5% or the 61.8% is going to be right exactly at this bullish order block. This is going to be at a discounted price. This is going to be where the institutions want to buy. So that's why I'm hoping that we see this bullish movement overnight. I would love to honestly put in a bullish trade right now and then put a stop loss right here, but I don't have the confidence in it. I don't know if that's going to happen, but this is what I'm expecting to happen. Expecting it to come up to here and then fall back. Then as soon as it comes down to this area, boom, it takes off again, right? I think we're going to end the week, or start ending the week, in a little bit more of a bullish environment, especially with the NASDAQ. And the reason being, because I think we've seen enough of the low areas, right? Kind of been a little bit of a wonky week. That being said, let's look over to the left and the right again, right? Look what we got here. We have a low or a high, low, and then basically, well, it is a higher high, but this would be considered your mitigation block. Move this mitigation block all the way to the left. Where does it come to? Right into that area. So mitigation blocks have a tendency to push through. So again, if we can get this thing, especially if it is to get above this mitigation blocks usually act as resistance, but most of the times they do trade through them. Once they do trade through them and they come back, then they act as support. So that's why I want to see this trade through this, then come back, and then this act as support. We have also a bullish breaker, or bullish order block, as well as the optimal trade entry. You have all three of that right in here, right? So we're just gonna have to wait and see what's gonna happen, but this is what I am hoping for right here. This candle right here is what I'm betting on, that I think will probably change a lot of everything, right? Let me know if you're in the chat. Let me know if you're enjoying anything. Let me know if you have any questions. Seriously, let me know if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer any of your questions that you may have. You want me to take a look at something? You know, I just wanted to go back to my NASDAQ because those are the ones I've been trading recently. And those are the ones I've been making the most money off of recently. Now, I do want to get to Bitcoin. So we're going to go to Bitcoin next. Bitcoin, of course, we all know is falling to a level that we haven't seen in quite some time, close to 50,000. And it's not like it's that bad. I had friends, you know, I have groups of friends, you know, we all trade crypto and we all talk to each other about it. And they're all going, oh man, this you know, this, you know, this weaker movement is not good, you know, blah 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 blah. And I'm going, guys, we're at 50,000 still. You know how long it took us to get to 50,000? You know, it's not like we're at 32 or 33,000 right now. You know, we're still doing good right now. Of course, it did have this tremendous drop right here, which was absolutely insane, and absolutely interesting at the same time. Now, what I do want to look at is what happened with that. How, you know, what we can do to look at that and see what stopped it, right? And if it is actually going to reverse or not. Now, I have this big purple box here. Now, the reason I have this big purple box here is because I believe this is a 4-hour breaker. And what I mean by 4-hour breaker is that we do have a low, right? A high, and then a lower low, right? So because we have the low, the high, the lower low, this ends up turning into a breaker. And I drew out the biggest breaker that I could, and it probably shouldn't even have been that big, because the breaker actually would have been from here to here. It would have just been the red candle is what it would have been, right? So that being said, let's see if we can get down to the 1 hour of it, and let's see if we can find the 1 hour breaker inside of that 4-hour breaker. And here's the thing, is that once you start looking at these breakers, you're going to start noticing that the lows and the highs are starting to become different, right? So now we have a low, right, a high, and now we have a lower high. So that means this now becomes mitigation. Not a breaker, but a mitigation. Same thing pretty much, but the biggest difference is once mitigation gets traded through, and it did get traded through, right? Once it comes back down to that area, it acts as support. Draw this out in the future. And boom, look at that. I mean, we're at the very bottom of it. Hit the very bottom of it to get support. So, whether I'm saying this is going to be support or not, I think it probably will be. I personally probably think this is going to be the support of Bitcoin. So, and again, it all has to do with these things like this, right? Lows, these highs, these lower highs, things like that. And it all depends on how they structure themselves. Now, this out of the way, this out of the way. Especially now I'm at the 1 hour point. Here we go. We have a low, a high, and this actually doesn't make a lower low, right? So now we have another, this is a mitigation block. Which I think got to the bottom of that area, right? again acting as support. Boom, acting as support. So we have two mitigation boxes on top of each other, both acting as support, right? I'm going to get rid of this right here. This means nothing. This was just buy side liquidity in case it did get above that. But now that we do have these mitigation blocks, right, that are now acting as support, where do we go from here? See, and here's another thing. You have low, a high, and then lower low. So again, right in here, another mitigation going all the way across. There's a lot of mitigations happening right in this area, right? So I think Bitcoin is right now at a perfect support level. I don't think it's going to get any lower than this. Even though this was meant to scare people. This was meant to make people sell. That's exactly what this is meant to do. And until you know how to read charts, you know, you wouldn't have noticed that it was going to stop here and possibly turn around. So you probably had people looking at this going, oh my god, it's getting down to 55, almost got to get 53, almost got, you know, I'm gonna sell until it gets down to about 48, and then boom, mitigation happens. And then now all of a sudden, guess what? Now it's turning around and it's gonna make a comeback. And let me get rid of some of these Fibonacci's in here, because these do make distractions. Again, it came through fair value gap, ran right through the fair value gap, came up underneath the fair value gap, pushed it down into the the breaker, or not the breaker, but the mitigation block, which is now has more leverage to go back up. So now what I'm looking at, especially with the hour, right, we're going to be looking at these levels here. I mean, look at that. It's like it's almost perfect how they came out to the 0 0 0s. So what I'm looking for is that for it to come up to this level, right, to see if it gets rejected. If it gets rejected, again, look at the price action that's happening on the opposite side. Especially if it's a big green candle right after this and it gets rejected and it gets pulled back down, that means you're going to be entering in a fair value gap, and it's going to actually make it, it's going to force it to go a lot higher. So here you have tons, and I'm on the 1 hour. If I'm on the 4 hour, just look at this huge fair value gap opportunity. You have the ability or price to get all the way up here, right? And that's just midterm. That's just midterm. Like I said, this is midterm. So if I'm going to draw that from here to here, and I'm going to draw that from here to here, right? Let's get these straightened out. Again, perfectly 0 0 levels. Again, perfectly 0 0 levels. It's almost like this was planned. Of course it was planned. This is IPTA. Means interbank interbank pre-algorithm. So that being said, sorry about that. Big water here. Now, I know it looks red, but again, it's digging down into this mitigation block, right? Mitigation block pushes it up. I want to see how it reacts out of this, pulls back, and then pulls forward. All right. Use this, right? We're gonna use a Fibonacci, right? And let's see from here to here, right? And let's see what the halfway point of that Fibonacci is. $53,688.50. 680. Again, exactly at the 50 level. Institutions love these 50 levels. Okay. Again, I want to see how it reacts off of this. Boom. Comes up. See if it can get above this. Right. Once it gets, well, this is a 4-hour fair value gap from way back in the day. So we can actually probably almost, the thing about with fair value gaps, especially whenever they run right through them, they run right through them back up. So I want to put this just right here, just as a reminder that this was a fair value gap and that did run right through it, and that more than likely is going to have probably the same kind of momentum running right back through it. So I'm still extremely bullish on Bitcoin. A lot of people are going, oh my god, it's getting so low, it's getting so low. No, they just haven't read the charts and they don't know what the charts mean. So that being said, again, see if we can get above here. We can get above here. A little bit of a pullback, especially if it's all green candles up here. A little pullback, good. Enter into a fair value gap, get pushed up even more. Probably up into here. All green candles, maybe a little pullback. All green candles, even pushed up even further. Then we have an old fair value gap that actually got ran through twice. This is what is good. This is what we want to see. We want to see fair value gaps get ran through twice. Primarily because not that they're going to get run through a third time, but they can help out the propulsion of price trying to get to a higher level. Especially if it runs up through it and then it runs down through it. Guess what? Then now it's probably going to run up through it again. So that's what I'm looking for as far as Bitcoin is concerned. Again, you know, the high is what, 62,000. We're at 52,000. We're only 10,000 off. It's not like we are eons away, you know, from trying to from you know, falling into the biggest Bitcoin bear market of all time. I have a friend who keeps like sending me gifts of like, oh, we're in a bear market, we're in a bear market. Dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry, we're not in a bear market at all. There are going to be bear aspects, of course. Those things are called retracements, right? Those are in any market. And then once retracements happen and they find their support levels and they find their acts of where they need to be, because as you can see, because look at this, right around this area, you can see all these breaking points before it dropped down and it came back up, and then boom, it took off after that. So we have again negation, again negation. We are right at the perfect time for Bitcoin to be taking off. So if anything, don't be scared. If anything, probably add in more. If you're going to be adding in more to your portfolio, I would think now is a great time to be adding into your portfolio. All right, that being said, let's move on to Ethereum. Ethereum, same thing. And did it have a huge drop off today? Huge drop off to the point, and the funny thing is I actually made it was right here last night. This was last night, wasn't it? Yep. I put a buy limit in last night, and then I ended up making money just from going from here to here while sleeping. And I woke up with money, and I was like, all right, awesome, cool. But then of course things happened and broke down lower, and I was trying to find the bottom. Not really the bottom, of course you can really never predict the bottom, but I was trying to find the place where it was going to turn around. So I was trying to find gaps. I was trying to find places to where strength over on this left side of the chart was going to help it. So I saw this right here. I thought if it got below that, right, it would take out sell side liquidity and then it would bump up. And so I bought right here, and then it did bump up right here, and I scalped and I got out. So I went from 1622 to 1636, got out, whatever. Made a little bit of money, not too much, and then of course it dropped since then. Where has it dropped to? Looks like it has dropped to, and see here was the thing, is I was hoping, and actually I think it was right here is where I bought into it, because of this order block. It wasn't this. Yeah, never mind. It wasn't this. It was this. It was this order block. I was hoping that once it got down to this order block, I would buy into it, and then that order block would actually take it up out, and it didn't. Instead, it took me down and back out, and I lost a lot of money on that. But that's when I bought, and whenever I bought, I came back up, and that's what it was. So that being said, whenever it comes to order blocks, you don't want it to cross the 50% line, or you don't want it to cross the halfway point. If it's going to hit an order block, you want it to see an immediate reaction. And whenever it came down to it, and I should have waited. I should have just waited to see if it was going to have immediate reaction. Instead, I just went for it. I didn't have an immediate reaction. I'm looking at the 4 hour. I should probably look at the 15-minute because it kind of did hesitate. On. Why is this taking forever? So here is the top of the order block. Here is the bottom of the order block that was outlined in the 4-hour, right? I think that was the one that was outlined in the 4-hour. I'm gonna have to jump back and forth and make sure I have all my ducks in a row here. Yep, and you want to do it by the bodies. You want to do it by the bodies because that's where the beefiness is. That's where the volume is. You want to do it by the bodies. So if you do see an order block like this, see it come to the body and see that this is what was giving me hope, was that, you know, it was trying to come back up, and then of course it wouldn't down, then it would try to come back up. But either way, not the greatest situations. But still, Ethereum still not in a bad place. Still not in a bad place. We are still not in a bearish zone for Ethereum. I don't care how many people try to tell you that we are in a bearish zone for Ethereum. We are not. It's again, same thing with Bitcoin. Everything kind of went crazy and went and did this and went and did that, and you can see we had a fair value gap that was up here, and then boom, we had huge spike up into that fair value gap, and as soon as we hit that spike in that fair value gap, boom, that's when. So those are the kind of things you have to look for. You have to look for those gaps in the market, and whenever you look for those gaps in the market, that's when you know